That's alright, mama. That's alright with you. That's alright, mama. And just any way you do. That's alright. That's alright. That's alright now, mama. Any way you do. Come on now, can you feel the pain? Into him now, about this new world. Ain't no train. Papa's got a brand new eye. Purple haze in my brain. Lately things just don't seem the same. I get funny and I don't know why. Excuse me while I kiss the
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Matt and Leeroy are in the house. We're a couple minutes late, so we're going to get right to it. We're going to go into intro, and then we will hit it. So stay tuned. Please do me a favor. Share, like, and subscribe. Leeroy and Matt are in the house. We'll see you in about 3 minutes.
Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's stuff.
Hi, Matthew. It's Judge Janine, and I wanted to congratulate you on the Don't Unfriend Me show at the Dumb Show. I was thinking about that whole thing the other day when I thought it was right after Donald Trump was elected that everybody on the left started unfriending anyone on the right. So I'm glad you're calling them out. We've got a great name for the show, and I hope that you're true to the values, conservative values, Republican values, and that you call those people out. I think it's great. And I know you've got 135,000 followers. I hope you get a lot more. And just keep the faith. Keep fighting. I think we may get America back. But in the meantime, we've got a steep hill to climb. And you're one of the fighters, one of the patriots. So thank you for what you're doing.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, Unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on? Show's completely free. We don't charge for it. If you want to go and follow, like, share, and subscribe, please go to thedumbshow.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, Rumble, YouTube, everywhere. Just give us a follow, and you can also listen to the podcast, which is ranked number 16 in all political podcasts and news. That's the criteria. Take it. It's not huge, but it's good enough. We are one of the top political podcasts in Virginia as well, which is nice. And listen, it's growing. And what's funny is that I was looking at some of the sample sizes for the live show, and honestly, it's not that bad. I've looked at some of the bigger sites like Chicks on the Right and others.
Yeah.
And we've got a pretty good number. Chad Prather gets 120, 130. We're constantly 86, 87, 88 people. And a lot of that is only static viewers. I don't believe it's people who drop in and say hello, because there's just no way. For instance, the show with on election night was massive. And I think we had 15,000 views on that. There's no way that 87 people we're watching that. And then Pastor Jack Gill came in. That show had 7,500 before we turned it off. And then this show will probably be up in the 4,500 to 5,000s. And there's just no way that 86 people got those numbers. So we're trying to figure out what that looks like. But we do appreciate it. So please like, share, follow, subscribe. Go over there and do that. Also, thedumbshow.com. It is free, but we ask that if you are interested, you can help donate, keep the show going. Consider us the PBS, but we're not partisan, and we don't go ahead and disrespect and push state propaganda. Leeroy is my partner in crime here tonight. We'll be doing this together. Leeroy, you obviously are jumping and chomping at the bit, so go ahead. What's up?
Oh, nothing. I was just going to say welcome to the show. It's I'm happy to be here. I'm hoping that everyone who's watching, I'm hoping that you have a taste to get our takes on a lot of the political news that has happened, and there's been a lot. So, as we start to go through some of the headlines, just strap in and let's have some fun, right?
Yeah, you're coming in hot too, so you might want to bring that down about 5 dB. It's just picking up a lot of background noise, and then we'll try it again.
How's that sound?
Just give it to me, not close.
Check 1 2, check 1 2.
Perfect. That sounds great. Yep. Okay. So, listen, I know a lot of people want to review and go over the plane crash. I'm going to be honest with you. I have not done my homework on it, and I don't feel comfortable talking about it unless Leeroy has something on it that he wants to talk about. I'm aware of what happened. I've seen the video. There's a lot of questions. I will tell you that maintenance is probably one of the most important things that you can do for an airplane to stay airborne. The second thing is to ensure that you follow absolute protocol on takeoff and landing. And the third thing is that when an air traffic controller tells you to do something, you do it. Outside of that, act of God happens, and some things can't be explained. They'll recover everything they need. They'll have the avionics from it. They'll have the black box and hopefully find out something. I did see the entry. I did see the approach. I did see that it was skimming. To me, like I said, I haven't looked into this. I just saw a couple of videos. It looks like it comes in way too low on a landing. The engine clips on entry, hits some power lines, and that's all it takes at that altitude. Whether there were any issues with that plane beforehand, I have no idea. I have not even looked into this. I just saw a quick video. My first gut reaction was that pilot. I don't even know if it was coming in on landing or takeoff. I'm pretty sure it was landing.
No, it was
because
takeoff.
It was takeoff. Okay, well then he obviously there could have been a weight shift. It is a parcel style plane. There's 12 people aboard, I think. You could have when you're setting up that plane and you're setting up the overall weight distribution. There's reasons why you have to distribute the weight properly, and even a couple 100 pounds can throw it off. Obviously, the thrust vector wasn't there for him to get up and get over that area for a reason, so they're going to look into it. But that's all I know. Leeroy, what do you know?
So actually, I have a friend who lives in Louisville, and she works for UPS at that airport. I immediately texted her upon hearing of the plane crash, and I was just like, oh my God, are you okay? What happened? Fortunately, she was fine. UPS sent her home. She was en route to come to work and explained that somebody had called her and said, nope, go ahead, turn around, time to go back home. That plane crash, I do know a little bit about it, but only enough to cover, a minute or two. It was an older MD-11. That entire fleet of aircraft or they're set to be retired. Just like Matt said, maintenance on these things is crucial. And what looks like happened was that upon takeoff, the plane was supposed to go to Honolulu, and upon takeoff, the port or the left engine literally fell off the aircraft. And there's been several dash cam videos and security cameras who had caught the thing and kind of observed what had happened, which was terrifying to watch. But that's why it was fully fueled, which is why the damage was so extensive in some of the industrial area, because it literally
That's the first
incinerated
thing.
everything.
When we saw the cloud of smoke, I said that thing was fully rigged, fully juiced to go. I don't know whether it's going to Hawaii or where it was going, but they do nonstop on those because they're not a commuter and passenger plane. So she was full yoked. Where was she going? Do you know?
Honolulu.
Okay, so it's going to Hawaii. So that thing's filled to. I mean, that thing literally is like splashing over when they fill it up.
Right. Exactly. And so it looked like what had happened was the port side engine literally fell off the aircraft. And then from there, that was, God knows if that happened when the aircraft was just pitching up, or if it happened after the pilot had realized, oh my God, we're already in the air. That part we don't know. I expect that after they recover the black box and start analyzing all of that information, that's when we'll get those updates.
Yeah, and when you're flying at less than 100 feet, your reaction time is It's like hitting a major league fastball. So honestly, that pilot reacting in a way where he was probably already full throttle. Flaps were where they needed to be for takeoff. He had all the lift that he had. With or without that engine, you're not making that. If you have an engine go out on takeoff and you're that low, the chances of you making it are slim to none. And also the weight distribution. Aeronautics to compensate for that, you drop an entire engine. That's not light. Frank Wood, donate $25. Love you guys. You too, Leeroy. God bless. Listen, we'll cover it more. There's plenty to go into. It comes down to this. It's tragic. It could have been a lot worse. We know that. I mean, if that would have went into a residential community, if that would have been a full passenger plane, you're talking 180, 200 lives gone. It sucks. And, yeah, I saw the dash cam footage. I've seen the footage. I haven't even begun to dive into it. And I've been too busy with the election, and I'm sorry, but that's my focus right now. When people talked about it, I was like, I care, but this is a political show. So we got to focus on the election. But yeah, the turbine came off, and that completely changes your thrust vector on takeoff. That explains why his lift was so poor and probably had to readjust, dropping that amount of weight. If he was on the ground, they wouldn't have continued, because it literally, let me see, that wouldn't have been good. I'll just tell you that much. You have that size of an engine rolling around. You can take out your back landing gear, that can get wedged underneath the plane. So I would lead to believe that it lost it when it was taking off and in flight. And when you're at full throttle and you drop, well, I don't know, I can't even imagine. That's probably what, 15,000 pounds? Maybe a little less for that. Let's just say it's 7,000 pounds. That's going to have an impact on the plane's flight at that altitude. Go ahead, Leeroy.
From the dash cam footage that was recovered, and from all of the cameras that had observed it, it didn't look like that aircraft made it more than a couple hundred feet in the air. And the industrial complex where it crashed, shows that it had just barely clipped some power lines on its way back down. This was after the fire had been observed out of the port side engine. Yeah. So you have to imagine that this thing never even saw 200 feet.
No,
and
no, it was telephone pole height. I mean, and that's 30 feet. Yeah, at highest. I mean, depending, a telephone pole normally is what, 20 feet, 25 feet. It's a little taller than my flagpole. My flagpole's 20, so probably 30 feet. That's not enough for a plane that size, an MD-11 that size. No.
Yeah.
And listen, folks,
and an MD-11 has 3 engines. There's one that's in the tail,
Yep.
and then you've got one port and starboard side. So for them even to have lost the port engine at fully fueled,
Yeah,
it,
you're toast. You have to have that. You
I,
have to have that thrust with that much weight on
I,
that plane.
yeah, and you would have to assume that probably, fortunately, if this was going to be the end result was that it was going to crash. Fortunately, it was so fast
Oh
that
yeah.
nobody suffered.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. There's no doubt. Just from the sheer altitude of that plane, you're probably talking 150 yards max from the runway to, and that happens all the time. Every airport in America is pretty much like that. DIA isn't, but most of them go over metropolises and cities. Arizona flies over the entire city when you're coming in. And so to see those roadways and stuff, it's not like this was quick. I mean, from oh my God to the captain had no time to even probably squawk to the people in the back of what was happening. There was definitely some shifting in the plane, I would assume, and some altitude drop, I would assume. But the rate of ascent on a takeoff with that much weight is not as fast as you would think. Now, it's certainly not like a private jet. It's not like a smaller style puddle jumper, but this most assuredly was fully loaded with packages and everything else, being that it was a delivery plane, UPS, I believe, and full of fuel. So its weight limit was there. And ultimately the engine being non-operational, even if you had a burnout, if you had bird strike at that altitude that took out, you're cooked. You're just cooked. There's just no way. You have no room to navigate. You have no glide slope. There's no glide path. There's no time to clear any landing space. Your plane is being shredded. Fuel lines are probably shredded in the air. So immediately when they hit ground, sparks just ignited all the jet fuel, I would assume. Because they went through the bottom of that plane and went through the wing. That tore that thing up, and it probably hit fuel lines. It probably opened up electronics. It's dead sticked avionic. I mean, it's just bad. All of it's bad. All of it's bad.
Yeah.
Wow. What a way to start the show. I'm struggling, dude. I'm struggling on a couple things here.
How's that?
Because the party this is very reminiscent of 2014, 2006, the Tea Party branch off inside the conservative movement. There is a generational shift taking place, where the old salt is essentially being put out to pasture. Like, you and I are irrelevant now in modern day politics for any of the younger generation. For any younger generation, we're the enemy in our party or out of our party, because we have houses, we have cars, we have wives, we're the generation that had everything handed to us according to them, right? And this new generation is probably going to really have a hard time getting a home. They're going to have a hard time starting a family, finding that upward mobility in a job that they want. And let's just face it, as we faced too many opportunities that were closed to us based upon too many people having the experience necessary to do the jobs, that's what we went through. There aren't enough jobs of high qualifying pay. And now you have AI and you have automation and infrastructure, and businesses are reducing jobs versus increasing. Then you have the valuation of the dollar, cost of goods, cost of living, COLA, big city versus rural life. Jobs aren't in the rural areas, so therefore you're stuck to ag jobs and plumbing and HVAC and trades, which pay well, but now the competition is increasing in these areas where you have 25 electricians all vying for the same job. So the cities, people go into the cities and the cost of living is so damn high and the pay is not, that it's really hard for people to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So so here's the thing. And this is going to be long-winded until we get into it. So just let me get my thoughts out, because I need to process this. But what I'm seeing is that just today, Candace Owens is the #1 podcast in America. And I want you to wash that over you real quick. And that Candace Owens is the #1 podcast in America. And she goes, I'm #1. They've tried to ruin me. They've tried to frame me. They've tried to say I'm crazy. They've tried to do this. And I'm the #1 podcast in America, and I'm loving it. And my reply to her was, yep, and all it cost you was your soul. And I'm not jealous. There's no jealousy. I'm not even in the same orbit of Candace Owens. I never will be. I'm not black, and I'm not hot. I'm also not crazy. And I'm not willing to sell my values to lie to my people. And what happens when Jews are no longer the topic of the day? Because if we look through this and look through history, it started, if we're just going to go from the 50s to the Russians and communism, then it went to the Muslims and the Mujahideen and Iran. Then it went to Japan, and worried about Japan and electronics. Then it moved to Russia again, and the Cold War. In there, we had Vietnam and Laos and communism and all that. Then you move into Jeffrey Styles, $30 through Super Chat. Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate you. Then we move into Iraq, and we go back to the Muslim thing. Then we also have some anti-Jew conversations that tied to the Muslim thing as well. Then we go and we start hating Republicans, and there's just a cycle to these things. So what happens when Jews are no longer the big fear? Because now socialism, communism is raising its head again, and that's going to be the new fear factor. And you've got one group of the party that is saying Zionism or take my eyes. And you've got another side of the party that's saying Jews are the root of all evil and they're responsible for everything. And you've got the younger generation who's saying Jews are responsible for everything bad in the world. And then you've got the older generation, which is a little bit younger than us or a little bit older than us, who are like, Zionism is the only way to go, and Jews are our best friend, and Israel's our best friend. And then you got you and me, which are like, how is any of that America first? You guys won't shut up about everybody else, but you say we should be focused on America, yet none of you are talking about what just happened in New York. None of you are talking about a $38 trillion debt ceiling that is going to absolutely cripple every generation. And every minute that we do it, it gets exponentially worse. You're not talking about the Muslim overthrow of Europe and how Europe will fall. We're not talking about how we are not primed in the next world war, which will be based in Africa. There are so many different things that we're not focused on, yet you scream America first, both sides. Both sides are saying America first, and nobody's paying attention to America. Nobody. We just had a socialist, and a real socialist, not a fake socialist, a real socialist of the mayor of the largest economy, one of the top 5 largest economies in the world, along with California. And you have a person who's empathetic to socialism in Newsom, and then you actually have a communist socialist, Muslim, who believes that the eradication of Jews is completely acceptable, but he changed his mind and he smiles a lot, so now it's okay. I'm done, but I'm frustrated. I'm having a hard time with this. And I'm trying to figure out, I can't take a side in this because both sides are equally wrong. And I have to be the guy in the middle that says Jews have benefit and Israel has benefit. They also have some drawbacks. And focusing on hating Jews and saying white nationalism is the way to go. And if we just got rid of all the black people and we got rid of all the women and the women would just shut up and then we would expel the Jews back to Israel and kick them out of the United States, we would have paradise. I'm having a very hard time juggling these two things. Now I'm going to shut up. Seriously.
Sure. So from my observations, and I've been keeping an eye on everything that's been happening politically in this country for a little while now. From my observations, you can break down the left and the right into three big subcategories on either side. And what's happening right now is that the left side is being kind of overtaken by really those three groups. It's going to be the Democrat socialists, the old school Democrats who are finding themselves increasingly squeezed out of their own party, and then finally just people who don't really know enough about politics. They just happen to lean left just because they're either young or ill-informed. Cool. On the right side, and this is where it gets a little tricky because I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna immediately
Joanne
contradict
Townsend
myself.
donated $10. Thank you, Matt and Leeroy. Thank you, Joanne. Sorry to interrupt, but when we see that, I got to interrupt you. Hold on. Go ahead.
So what's happening on the right, and again, I'm going to contradict myself, but it's not really a contradiction. On the right, what we're seeing are the same types of groups that are emerging, and that looks like MAGA, right? This is the group that Trump was able to put a lightning rod to and get himself elected. There's the classic libertarians. And then there's like this new and upcoming group, the Nick Fuentes type people, right? And you've got layers of people, groups in between there, sure. But it's the Nick Fuentes part that I want to correct some. I want to make sure that everyone understands. Even though Nick Fuentes says that he's a right winger, I don't think he is.
It's not think. It's not think. He's not.
He is very far left. He is anti-black,
yep,
anti-Jewish,
yep,
and
anti-women,
worships anti-women, and absolutely worships Hitler. So even though most people, Jeffrey Stiles donated $30 to Super Chat. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Even
though he says he's right-wing, I find that to be disingenuous, and he is ill-informed.
And he's not a Christian.
And he's not a Catholic. Yeah.
So he says really he says he's a Catholic, but it's completely. And this is where a conversation takes place. He says he's Catholic, and he's also not a Catholic based upon he doesn't follow the teachings. He doesn't quote scripture unless it's literally to condemn Jews and the people who he doesn't like. Go ahead, Leeroy.
Right. So those three subgroups that I just described on either side, really, it's not those three subgroups. Really, on the right, then what we have are like MAGA and libertarians. Right. And again, there's some layers in between there, but those are the big ones. And then on the left, and this is where it gets a little funky, they don't have three subgroups. They have a fourth, and they just don't know to identify it as such. And that's the Nick Fuentes group.
See, and you can't, I want to be really clear. It's really important for people to understand is the opposite of leftists, of Democrat liberals, which is close to the middle, mm-hmm. and Republican conservatives. It's not fascism and communism. That's not even, you're talking about so many degrees of separation from liberals to communists. It actually moves into progressivism. And then into leftists. So you've got the middle, which is classic liberalism, which is basically mm-hmm. a moderate. And then you have liberals. Then you have progressive liberals, progressivism. And then you move into leftists. Mm-hmm. And on the right, you've got classic liberalism, moderates. And then it moves into Republican conservatives. Then you have neoconservatives, conservatism, which is just like progressivism.
Would have been what Charlie Kirk was trying to arouse, sure.
And then you move into the alt-right, which is the name for it now, but essentially it's just the ultra-right is what it's called in politics, the ultra-right. But now it's called Instead of the alt-left, it's the alt-right, because I guess it was just too difficult to say ultra. Now, from there, you can move into fascism, but it's on the opposite. Fascism and communism are almost the same damn thing when you break it down. They are literally, they're cousins. Yeah. And if you look at Republicans and Democrats, so when we sit here and say that Nick Fuentes is a leftist, he's not in any way, shape, or form. He is a fascist who follows socialist leanings. And that is exactly what Mao was, Che Guevara was, because they used dictatorship ultimately to begin socialism through this utopian promise of society of equalness and equality and equal portions of something and equal portions of nothing. That turns into a communist state of government controlling the means of production and lowering competition on a singular entity that is distributed by the government. Nick Fuentes believes in the fascist principle that there should be one leader, one group of people ruling everybody, no matter what your race, color, creed, or sexual disposition or religion may be, and that anyone who opposes that is anti-American. That's fascism in a nutshell. So we can't say he's on the left. But what you can say is tie him to what he wants to do, and he's moving towards, which the video clips I'll show you today are most indeed socialist, which is cheap housing, cheap food, free education, free health care. And Nick Fuentes, what Leeroy is saying, sounds more leftist now than he ever has, because this is the natural progression. This is what happens.
Right. Basically, in a nutshell, and I know what you're saying, Matt, I am saying that Nick Fuentes is leaning left. It's just that he's saying verbally that he is right-leaning.
That's correct.
But he's not.
That's totally fair.
And and my explanation for that, or my defense to that, would be give him 4, 5, 10 years worth of time and actual real responsibility. And if you can't see some serious, I mean, if the guy says that he admires Hitler, then you have to imagine that given enough time and if enough people were to listen to him and give him control over their lives, eventually he would end up like a Stalin.
Well, he's already admitted that. Now his argumentation is, well, Stalin was a person in history. He did bad things. Name a world leader who hasn't killed people. And then everyone's like, yeah, that's right. So now Stalin is just like Teddy Roosevelt.
No.
Stalin is just like Churchill. Stalin is just like Gandhi.
And
because the Indian Royal Guard killed Tibetans. So therefore, it's Gandhi's fault. Gandhi was a mass murderer, just like Stalin. And these are the logical fallacies that people, retards. Because if you can't discern a thought and apply nuance to world history and say that there is no difference between the Emperor of Japan and Harry S. Truman or Franklin Delano Roosevelt, that you're absolutely just off your effing rocker, crazy, or you're retarded. One of the two. Go ahead.
I was watching a podcast the other day, and I watch a spectrum of different, from everyone from things that I wholeheartedly disagree with to things that I absolutely agree with. And I heard a particularly profound thought. And I can't remember the name of the podcast, so forgive me. But
I don't want you to promote anybody's podcast anyway.
Well, apparently, and where do I have it here? There was the original kind of neoconservative was a guy named Irving Kristol, and Irving Kristol was asked once by Milton Friedman, "Why does socialism continue to progress? Why does socialism continue to be seen as a favorable alternative to other means? And Irving Kristol, and I'm going to say this because I really feel like this is important.
Go ahead.
Is that his explanation is that the fading relevance of organized religion in liberal capitalist societies left too many people with a God-shaped hole to fill. And when there's no promise of cosmic justice in the afterlife, then it will, basically what he's saying is if you can't pursue justice in the afterlife, then people who lack religion will try to seek that same social justice while in this living
in this mortal coil. That's absolutely
exactly
100% spot on. And when people talk about the degradation of society and the downfall of society and our moral code, everything is based on Christianity. By repudiating Christianity, our society is falling asunder because that is the only difference between us and other countries.
Absolutely.
Our moral fabric, our moral code was written through Christianity. And the one thing that the Democrats were able to do is alienate it from every single person's lives and made Christianity a dirty word. Go ahead. And I want to show this video. So go.
Yeah. I'm almost done. And so the idea behind socialism is that gives somebody who lacks religion in their heart or something further to believe in. Socialism gives them that purpose to say, what can I make to justify everyone's equal existence?
Oh, holy shit. Yes. Oh, holy shit.
Socialism.
Say it again.
So what socialism does for the people who don't have Catholicism or God.
Oh
right?
my, I never made this. This is amazing.
It gives that person the socialist movement to say, if I can't, if there is no God, if there is no religion, nothing in the afterlife, then justice, as I'm going to exact it, is going to live through socialism by making everyone equal or to have some level of, yes.
Socialism. Just let me get this.
It's a lot, right?
Hold on. Let me get this. Okay. This brings together two things that I've been talking about all week, is that Christianity is hands down the most giving and charitable people on the planet. It's not even close.
That's true.
It's not even remotely close. Christians have given trillions in charitable contributions. It's not even close. But what socialism does is it replaces theological hope and belief with materialism guised as philanthropic means.
Say that one more time.
Socialism, that's why I was trying to think of it, because I try to memorize what I'm thinking here. Socialism is essentially, well, it doesn't work that way because that's not what it is. Socialism is the promise to replace spirituality and theological belief under the guise of philanthropic fulfillment.
Yes.
And that's what it is. And I think that's what if that's true, then dude, what we have just, we could talk about this like this is Job in the Bible. We could spend 6 weeks on this because, hear me, if we want to find the roots of Stalinism and Marxist-Leninist beliefs, we go back to the Age of Enlightenment, right? We go back to Nietzsche. We go back to Darwin. We go back to the times of Michelangelo. We go back to the ages of Voltaire and the age of enlightenment. And the awareness that Christ in salvation was literally built for thousands of years before us as the science of today. And at that time, there was an effort to remove the power of the church and replace God with science.
Exactly.
When that happened, that's that God-shaped hole that Leeroy's talking about. If we're going to remove religion and faith and justification of prudence and legality and accountability from the afterlife and take that away, we have to have something that explains and fills the reasoning that we're removing, and that was science.
Okay.
Hold on.
You strap in.
Hold on. I got to come full circle here. If that's the case, and that's true, and we also know that's what's past is prologue in the essence of Shakespeare, that history repeats itself, then we saw the same fundamental push in the 1950s and 60s with Russian oligarchs coming into the United States in the Screenwriters Guild, in Hollywood, and trying to take over our media and trying to take over Hollywood, the distribution of the content that we consume, in order to be soft on communism. And that failed, and they took over the education systems. Then we saw it in the 70s and 80s, predominantly right after Vietnam, but we did see it during the hippie movement. And that didn't take. Almost done. And then you saw it in the late 80s, 90s, and 2010s with LGBTQ, which tried to remove Christianity from the equation as being sexist and racist and homophobic, and internal damnation from Christians, even though Christians gave more to AIDS foundations than any other platform in the world, gave more to parishioners who were struggling with homosexuality. And yes, they tried to do therapy and tried to go ahead and do conversion therapy. Yes, we understand those horrible things. And now you see today Christian revival happening in our country when Charlie Kirk was killed. And you're seeing the push again to replace religion with this bastardization of science that is completely distorted and broken and disfigured, and it doesn't make any sense. This explains why they are saying men can get pregnant, that there's 63 different genders, that we're all going to die of global warming. All of these scientific misnomers that make absolutely no sense is just another version of them trying to replace and fill the hole with something else. Okay, I had to take that from birth to abortion, and I apologize, but that explains what you're saying, I think. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. But I'm about to blow your mind.
Okay, blow my mind again.
So that when we hear of a certain somebody who's currently, his names are making the rounds and on every podcast, mostly Tucker Carlson. When we hear that so-and-so is a fascist, everyone after the show, not now, don't you dare leave the show, but afterward, define or Google or whatever, search videos, I don't care. Define what fascism is, because 90% of the time what you will find is that most academics have all come to the same conclusion, that fascism is the religion of the state, not of spirituality. So when I hear that Nick Fuentes is a fascist, or he's already leaning left. He's already on that side. He is anti-Catholic, anti-Jewish, anti-woman, anti-black. He's all of the things, right? This is the type of person who is seeking justice, social justice, through politics. It's just that it's his own bastardized version of it. In America, we used to have a saying that justice was blind. Our entire legal system was set up on this idea that Lady Justice was blind. And today, everyone who leans left wants to change that. All of a sudden, they've got her, peeking through her little blindfold at the bottom, trying to put her thumb on certain scales in order to get the outcome that they desire. That's just my take.
Okay. So that didn't blow my mind as much as you blew my mind a second ago, but that's good enough and I'll take it. Because it's not that it wasn't well said. It's just something I already agree with. Okay. I'm trying to make the connection here. Because if fascism is defined as the power of the state, nationalism, and suppression of opposition, and that's the definition of fascism. Brenda, thank you, $25. So glad to be a dummy. So glad
Thank you, Brenda.
If that's the definition, then wouldn't faith be the ultimate dragon's bane, so to speak, to fascism?
Yes. Real, like Roman Catholic or Catholicism or
theology,
Christianity.
Theology, faith.
Yeah.
Faith in oneself, faith in a higher being, faith in an organized religion, faith in Christ, faith in Buddha, faith in Mecca, faith in Cthulhu, faith in Beelzebub. Whatever it may be, if you have faith, because a person without faith is one step away from complete control. This is why you attack religion.
Yes.
Because religion makes you essentially indomitable. It makes you impervious to whatever happens on this mortal coil. If you have incontrovertible faith that there is a God and there is a heaven and righteousness, and this is a battle between good and evil, then your separation from this mortal coil is a gift.
Faith is the idea, right, that if you, for those of us who believe in God, that relationship with God is something that can only happen at an individual level.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Can't be done at a group level.
No.
It cannot be done at a group level.
Without force.
Matt's relationship with God is Matt's relationship with God. It is him being as individualistic as humanly possible.
Yes.
My relationship with God means that I am an individual, but you strip away religion, all of a sudden that makes you more subject to groups. All of a sudden you're not an individual. All of a sudden, because you're not an individual, you belong to a group. You belong to somebody who is not religious.
Groupthink.
And therefore, exactly. And
North
therefore
Korea.
you are far more susceptible to socialist group leaning or left leaning.
North Korea. There it is. Perfect example. This man is a descendant of God with 12 different deities assigned to his lineage. You will follow him. This is the days of Charlemagne, and when kings and queens usurped the power of the people and nobility ruled the land based upon the lineage to Charlemagne. The only way you can force people to follow unmolested and unaccosted is to be not of this earth. The only way you can have people falsely follow, which is not an organic way, but it's not a generic way either, but it is manufactured, is without them having faith in something else of a higher power that they can trust, and to have their lives be the terminable end that humans can control and remove from them. Then you can have your freedoms removed. Then you can have your speech removed. Then you can have everything removed. Because if you're walking into a place and that you're going to make a speech and you know you are protected from your means and the means of the government, it gives you a certain sense of strength. But if the government removes that protection, which they can't, but it's still there, then your ability to comply is based upon your survival, which God makes no such prerequisite for your salvation. Simply recognize that sin is evil, repudiate it from your life, accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, and all shall be forgiven, and you'll be eternal in the kingdom of heaven. No caveats, no ifs, ands, or buts. That is impossible to take away from a human being because of that individual relationship. And this is what individual rights were based on. This is why Christianity is so important to the Constitution of the United States. And they're trying to tell you that the founding fathers weren't religious. They didn't believe in God, and Christianity has nothing to do with our government, which is a complete lie.
No, yeah. The separation between church and state was only so that the state would never sponsor one religion over
establish a religion.
Others.
Right.
And the idea, and this is what I maintain. There's been no polls that I've studied on this. I'm shooting from the hip here. I have no statistical data to back this up. But my gut feeling is that for anybody who is an old school, conservative, borderline libertarian, the priority in their own household is God, family, country, right? But the further left you go on that scale, that changes. And all of a sudden, because there is no God, for the atheists who have effectively killed off God, then that removes that. And all of a sudden, you can only prioritize your country or your family. And 9 times out of 10, with no kids, that's going to be country. So that's why fascism, to me, is a far left-leaning ideology. Hell, it was born from socialism.
Well, and this is the reason why Germany and East Germany took to Russia within hours. You need to go?
Just going to get a drink. No, I got a drink. Hold on.
So if you guys look back at the end of World War II, fascism reigned supreme in East Germany, and then Russia took over control of East Germany. Well, the transfer of the societal norms, the police, the distribution, everything was the same. And fascists embraced communism in a New York minute. That should show you that they're not on the opposite spectrum of, they have nothing to do.
It's a real easy transition.
They have nothing to do with a democratic republic or a constitutional republic or a republic with democratic representation, however you want to say it. Don't lecture me on I hate that. The word democracy isn't evil. It's how we put people in office. It's not how we rule our government. Democracy is how we get them into position, and we rule through law and order and individual rights being paramount, which makes us a republic. But when we explore this conversation, I want you to listen to this. And you tell me who this sounds like. I want you to look at the actions of liberals. I want you to listen to the actions of liberals, and then I want you to listen to Nick Fuentes, because what you're going to remember, what it's going to remind you of is Adolf Hitler. It's the first thing you're going to think, Adolf Hitler. But I want you to go through history, specifically Civil War era till today, and listen to what he's espousing. And you tell me if this doesn't sound familiar based on history versus what you've told fascism really is like. Listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple. It's literally that simple. Anyway.
Oh my God. He is gross.
Yeah, well, but listen to the words. Live together in paradise. This guy has a God complex like I've never seen before. But did any of that sound like fascism to you? Based on the actions? Yes. But who else does it sound like based upon the history? Who oppressed women? Who voted against suffrage? Who kept slaves? Who was against Jim Crow?
Right.
Who put headhunting and bounty hunting on the Underground Railroad? Who put the Japanese in internment camps? Who hates the Jews? Who led the Jew revolt in the 20s and the 40s when the anti-Semitism level were similar to today? Which party did that? Who put forward the Great Society? Who put forward Manifest Destiny? Who was against civil rights? Whether you agree with civil rights the way it is now or not, I don't really care. I'm asking you that question. Who owns the modern day slave plantations? Who tells you when they stand on the pulpit that if you just go ahead and give us this power, if you just go ahead and come to the pulpit of democracy, to the socialist progressive Democrat Party, we will live in a utopian society where everyone will be equal and everyone will be happy? Who does that sound like?
Right.
It sounds like the left.
Sounds a lot like somebody who just got done promising free bus rides and government-run grocery stores, and he's going to, tax the super wealthy and redistribute some of that in order to pay for some of these programs. Who does that sound like? You have to remember, folks, every amazing dictator that there has ever been has always stemmed from an idea that this person knows how to run society better than you do. This person knows how to run your life better than you do.
So a good question just came through, and this is great because we got a lot to do tonight. And this is what I wanted to do. I sat on my porch today and I said, a change needs to happen on this show. And it doesn't need to be, yes, we're still going to show stupid videos and we're still going to show, cat ladies sit there and screaming at the TV. But we're also going to get into dissecting and exposing these people for who they are. And not just Nick Fuentes. We're going to go after Tucker. We're going to go after Candace. We're going to go after Megyn Kelly. We're going to go after people we like. We're going to go after Mark Levin. We're going to go after Ben Shapiro. We're going to go after the people who distort facts for their own benefit. Amy Bordeaux, $10.80. Thank you, Amy. We love you. The question was, why is communism and fascism, why did they fight so hard in World War II when they share so many similarities? We just talked about authoritarian control,
Sure.
censorship, suppression of dissent. But they fought so brutally in World War II. Why? What were the core? Hold on a second. I'm trying to answer this. The core ideologies and goals were absolutely opposed for what they wanted to achieve. So when you look at the foundations of fascism, Leeroy just told you, based upon what the Nazis wanted was loyalty to the nation, loyalty to race, loyalty to their leader. And communism is based on internationalism. It's different. And it's the idea of uniting workers and abolishing class divisions in their eyes. So there's a very big fundamental difference between the two. Then you have the economy. We talked about that. Fascists allow private property. They allow business and small business and things to that effect. But it's only under the state direction and control. But communists abolish private ownership. Everything belongs to the state or the people collectively. This is where equity comes in. As far as religion, fascism uses religion. And it uses it to rally the citizens and put the pigs in the in the slaughter pen. But communists don't do that. They reject religion. And the quote is the opiate of the masses, which we've all heard. And I know, Leeroy, you've heard that too.
Mm-hmm.
The view of society with fascism is different than communism as well. They celebrate a hierarchy. They have economic classes. They believe some people are superior and others aren't. But communism seeks equality. There are no classes and no elites, but one gets it the same way. If one race is superior, then there has to be a leader to that superior race. And if one class is all equal, then those people will give money to the top elites, even though communism screams that there are no elites. We're almost done, and this is exact. I wanted to do this tonight for these exact reasons. So I want to explain the difference between communism and fascism from a World War II standpoint. But Hitler specifically and Stalin were two different people. So although you can have communism and fascism, which has similar traits, guys, you have two different powerful leaders which don't give a shit about what they say they believe. They only care about ultimate power, which is totalitarianism. So although, like Nick Fuentes says, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic, I believe in God, and I like white people because I can hang out with them and be near them, and I should want to do that. That's culturalism, that's tribalism, it's okay. His real methodology is to remove these people from society. And Hitler saw communism as an ideological enemy to his beliefs. He said it was a Jewish conspiracy, like he said everything. And as a hammer, he saw the world as a nail or as a Jew. Stalin viewed fascism completely different. He thought it was a mortal threat to the Soviet Union and to socialism and the utopian society because they were antithetical to each other, because fascists wanted to murder the collective group of people, no matter what base of religion, color, sex, or creed that they were, which ultimately is you can't tax your nation into prosperity if you literally have fascists murdering your population. This is why they were in a war of that magnitude and why fascists hated communists. Because their belief styles, although very similar in design and application, were antithetical for ultimate power over the people that they ultimately ruled over. Leeroy, I apologize, but that question, it was exactly what I wanted to go over tonight to demonstrate when people are saying, oh, well, Mondani's not going to be a communist because he's just a socialist, when every single socialist form of government has turned into communism since the dawn of time, since its conception. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I mean,
sorry.
I think it was Stalin who was quoted as saying that the end state of socialism is communism, or the end goal of socialism is communism.
End goal.
So when we're talking about what were the main differences between communism and fascism in World War II, that's it. I tend to view those types of questions as very similar to what's the difference between the Crips and the Bloods.
Right. Good.
Right? Because they're still both gangs that are out there trying to get you to turn in your individuality and substitute that to allegiance towards this group. But in one group, they're basically saying we're going to own the means of production, and in the other group, no, capitalism is okay, but the state is still going to tell the industry how to operate, who they can buy from, who they can sell to, and it's still authoritarian. They're both forms of authoritarianism.
Right.
Right? But again, it's the difference between the Crips and the Bloods.
Let me, it's heavy. This is where Leeroy and I don't agree, is that I say totalitarianism and he says authoritarianism. And there are subtle nuances and differences. Authoritarianism is ultimately just taking control by force. and removing all guideposts and roadblocks to do so. That's not what the Nazis did. Totalitarianism is essentially utilizing the state and the government to have total control of every part of your public and private life. There's a single ruler of the party. You control information. There's surveillance and fear. There's state ideological principles that are espoused. Swears of allegiance only to these behaviors. It eliminates individual freedom completely. There is a ton of propaganda and re-education that takes place in totalitarianism. And you and I have kind of used two different words. And although I do believe that the Germans initially, under the guise of religion, used that to coerce and to recruit numbers into just an absolutely multiplicative situation of growth. And the Russians used authoritarianism over their people for sure, but all used economic poverty and food poverty to control their people as well. So I think it's a multifaceted version, depending upon what time of history we're looking at, between authoritarianism and totalitarianism. So that's why we use different words.
I tend to use those words interchangeably, and maybe that's a fault of mine. But I would defend that by saying that whether or not the communists or the fascists who march a prisoner out into a field naked to shoot them in the back of the head, that person doesn't give a fuck whether or not the people behind them own the means of production. It's still the same end result.
Exactly. And that was my point. The guise of, right? It's right. Essentially, that's where the prosthetic comes in, an inorganic, not even generic. It's a manufactured. The Germans use religion to control the people of Germany, and use their history and disdain for the Jews to blame them for World War I and the Versailles Treaty and essentially the neutering of the German people's military. And Russia used food poverty, economic poverty, and military might to control their people. This is two perfect examples of authoritarianism and totalitarianism, and both mixed and mingled depending upon what time period. I'm completely with Leeroy on this. I just feel that the Nazis and the communists spent more time being totalitarian, but that doesn't mean that both words aren't interchangeable.
Right.
That is what I'm talking about. That conversation needs to be discussed multiple times, and I really was encouraged. And I want Leeroy watches a lot of podcasts, and Pastor Jack reached out to me today. And I think he was trying to talk to me. And he showed me a podcast of a gentleman named Albert Mohler. Mohler. And he is a theologian, but he's also a political commentator. And he's very much like Paul Harvey. He very much sounds like Leeroy and I when we are being very analytical and not, doing dick and fart jokes. But he's an excellent listen. I listened to his entire podcast today. It's consumable. It's 22 minutes. If you have not had a chance to consume it, do it. But it really inspired me to do what we used to do, which was really get into history. And we're not going to stop here. We're going to continue and do it. Keep talking about stuff like this. Candace Owens was on Piers Morgan. I had somebody come to me and say, I don't like Candace Owens because she's black. Listen to me. I don't give a flying sugar muffin that Candace Owens is black. In fact, I think as far as conservative commentators, or once considered that way, I have to give Megyn Kelly number 1, and Candace Owens is probably number 2. I think Candace Owens is smoking hot. I think she's nuts. Oh, yeah. But she's got the great eyes, but she's wacko.
Oh, she's dead sexy.
Yeah, if we can
good-looking woman.
We can put her in a straitjacket and give her a couple tranquilizers. I'm down. Otherwise, no. But here she is on Piers Morgan, and I was told that I'm racist and that she loves Trump still and is loyal to Donald Trump. And I am here to tell you that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace Owens, I've been saying it. I did it before it was cool. I've been telling that these two are completely fabricated and false as a porcelain and onyx doll. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace Owens, and I'm telling you, Tucker Carlson's the same way. The same way. And there's others. And I can keep going on and on and on, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what she said. And then I just want you to go ahead and just process this. This is what she said today.
Are you done with Donald Trump, or could you see a way that you would end up perhaps voting for him? Oh, you can't run again, obviously, but would you support him publicly again?
So I want to be clear. I don't regret voting for Donald Trump above Kamala. I think he was the better candidate, certainly a better candidate above Joe Biden. But what I will say is that he's been a chronic disappointment. And I feel embarrassed that I told people to go vote for him because this wasn't going to happen and it is happening. But I just think that the picture of politics in America is going to look very differently because of his actions. So I don't know where we go from here. I really don't. But this is not the candidate that I voted for.
The only argument that she has is he limiting the size of government? Yes. Is it as fast as you want? No. You don't believe me? Look at USAID. It's completely gone. Department of Education has been cut in half. They laid off 1.5 million workers, to the detriment of Virginia, losing Virginia for the good future, more than 20 years probably. But it is what it is. Look at world peace. Look at the conflicts, 8 conflicts. Look at the price of eggs. Look at gas. He promised fuel would go down. That is going to translate into groceries. It's going to translate into your cost of living. It takes time. It's not going to happen in 6 months.
No.
But I can go on and on and on. You want to look at the stock market. You want to look at home prices. You want to look at the Fed reducing interest rates. There is a litany of success from Donald Trump. The only thing that you don't like is that he stood with the Jews and they bombed Iran. That is why you won't follow him anymore. Because you make everything about Jews. I don't know what type of world you people live in, but where are all these Jews that are causing you harm? Because I know a few.
Show me on the doll.
Show me on the doll where the Jews hurt you. Yeah. The only people I hear talking about it are people who are uppity, who make millions of dollars, who seem to want to make more and somehow feel that the Jews are causing a problem. And Candace, you just got the #1 podcast in America and your neck looks intact. I don't see a hole in your neck. I didn't see you get shot. Because if the Jews truly wanted to go ahead and silence people who were against him, it wouldn't be their #1 advocate, which is Charlie Kirk. Whether he was struggling with the people who were sponsoring his show or not, whether he had conflictions about Netanyahu or not, it doesn't mean that he was not 100% supportive of Israel. In fact, 3 weeks before he died, he called Nick Fuentes vermin. One of the words you never use as a Jewish supporter. I've told you guys that a million times. You never talk like the Nazis. You don't call people maggots. You don't call them vermins. You don't call them rats. That's fascist. That's Nazi language. Charlie Kirk called him the worst possible word that he would utter, vermin. But Charlie's the only one who died. The only one who was assassinated and murdered. Yet she gets to sit here and be the #1 podcast in America by literally just lying to every single person who listens to her, and people are eating it up because of their hatred for a group of people who they do not have any relationship with. It baffles me.
I have to wonder to what extent Charlie Kirk's death, because they were friends, right? Because they had appeared on each other's podcasts, because they had kind of come up in a manner of speaking together, although Charlie Kirk on his own and Candace after she got picked up by Ben Shapiro, and then later kicked out. But I have to wonder if the only reason she is as quote unquote famous and has that #1 podcast now is because of her former relationship with somebody who was recently murdered. I'm just saying. Had Charlie Kirk been alive, I wonder if if she would be #1.
Well, it's not that. It's what happens is that Nick Fuentes and these guys have bot farms. And they pay for this. If you go look at Nick Fuentes' post, he'll have 20,000 likes on a post and it's been up for 60 seconds. That's not the way it works. That would be like me, because I have 300,000 followers, having a post in 1 minute have 20,000 likes. It just wouldn't happen. Jeff Oliphant donated $20. Thank you, Jeff. Here's the thing. Do you guys remember that Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens said Kanye was right, and how much they loved Kanye, and Kanye stood against the Jews, and Kanye got the phone call, and they tried to destroy his life and not have him see his babies, even though I proved to you that Kanye West had no restraints to see his children, and he didn't for almost 6 months. Doesn't matter. I already took care of Kanye. But do you remember when he came out and he did that, and he started saying, and Nick Fuentes is like, Kanye, look what they did to my brother Kanye. And Candace Owens just said the other week, Kanye was right. He was right about the Jews. He got the phone call. You remember? Yeah, here's Kanye today. Hey, I'm just checking in on Nick Fuentes and Candace, making sure they're okay after this. I told you, this isn't going after the right. These are going after the people who are destroying the right.
I feel really blessed to be able to sit here with you today and just take accountability. I was dealing with some various issues, dealing with bipolar also. So it would take the ideas I had and have me take them to an extreme where I would forget about the protection of the people around me and myself. So I wanted to come and take accountability. Sometimes people aren't that knowledgeable about the bipolar and the cause or what causes it and the way you act when you have this disease. So it's like if you left the house and you left your kid at the house and your kid went and messed up the kitchen and messed up the garage and messed up the living room. Now when you get back, it's your responsibility because that's your child. And that's the way I look at it. It's like I gotta go clean up the kitchen, I gotta clean up the living room, I gotta clean up the garage. Yeah, and it's a big deal for me as a man to come and take accountability for all the things that I've said, and I really just appreciate you embracing me with open arms and allowing me to make amends. And this is the beginning and the first steps and the first brick by brick to build back the strong walls.
Goes to a Jewish rabbi and says, I was wrong, and my disease and my hatred and my self-loathing and all of these things made me say horrible things about you and your people. And you want to know what Nick Fuentes' response is going to be? You want to know what Candace's is going to be? The Jews got to him. He got the phone call. Yeah. They are cures. And I fucking despise cures. I have spent 5 years working to rid this podcast and anyone in it of cures, because they are an insult to people of intelligence. Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens are the new Q movement, and their voices, I don't want them censored. They should be mocked and ridiculed every single moment of the day. Stu Peters, Nick Fuentes, the Hodge twins, Don't care how much I love the Hodge twins. I don't care how much I love my Marine Corps brothers. But they are absolutely pulling a Kanye for dollars. And it's literally bowling for Jews. It's like watching midget bowling. Entertaining as hell. But what's the point? I'd love to get your comments on this, man. Jake Shields, yes.
Whether or not Kanye feels that he needs to apologize or be contrite with somebody that he's wrong, good on him for doing it. I really, honestly, don't really care too much. I was never a huge Kanye fan, and I don't know if everyone has picked up on this, but like, I don't fall over myself when we're talking about certain people in the spotlight, right? So Bobby Richardson, 5199, says, I love the passion of the show. Love you both. We love you, Bobby, because you're awesome.
Yes, you are.
Like Candace or Ben Shapiro or Tucker, or I don't fall over myself to follow these people. Kanye doesn't do anything, doesn't stir anything up for me. He doesn't want me to be more of an individual and to follow God or to seek out more knowledge from the Constitution. He doesn't get me to do any of that. And he doesn't. So I don't have a lot invested in him. So I really didn't care to begin with.
Yeah, I didn't show it. I didn't show it for that reason.
I know. That being said, for the people that do follow Kanye, for the people that do follow the Ben Shapiros and the Candace Owens, I can see this stirring up quite a bit of controversy.
Oh, yeah.
And,
this is going to be huge.
And to that, I would say, enjoy the daytime drama, because that's great.
But see, it doesn't show you that he's sane. It doesn't show you. First of all, he admits he's bipolar, which Leeroy and I both have a little bit of experience when it comes to well, I'm not going to speak for Leeroy. I have some experience in my life and my family when it comes to my mother and sister, when it comes to that. But the entire premise of Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens was to use Kanye as a weaponized, I'm going to say it, a weaponized Uncle Tom. I'll say that. Anybody want to clip me on this? Clip me on it. I don't give a He was a weaponized Uncle Tom for their movement. And it's amazing that it was always, look what they did to Kanye. Look what the Jews did to Kanye. And Kanye's now sitting with a rabbi and bearing his soul and apologizing. And whether it's real or not, I don't care. I just think it makes those two people look stupid, and I'm going to do whatever I can to make them look dumb as I can so people stop watching them. I'm with you. I don't care about it. The filibuster, buddy. Folks, we are at 172.79. We are going to be trying to hit that 300 here shortly. I'm going to put up the clock. I'm going to show the donation commercial. It's 3 minutes. Everyone go take a pee break. Come right back. We got a whole bunch. We're going to talk about the filibuster.
Hell yeah.
We're going to talk about Brennan possibly getting indicted. We're going to be talking about President Trump, Warren Mamdani. I got that clip. I got Bernie Sanders embracing the filibuster. I've got Democrats looking to bend the knee. We got a lot of stuff. We got Marjorie Taylor Greene to show. Oh my God, we got a lot. Come on back. We'll see you in a few minutes. If you're enjoying the show, please consider donating, helping us stay on the air. Here you go. We'll be right back in 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Olivia Spear, host of The Dumb Show. For 3.5 years, we never asked for donations, but after Facebook demonetized us for speaking the truth, we've had to turn to the one thing big tech can't cancel: you.
I'm Hayden, Matt and Olivia's daughter. This show's never chased sponsors or sold out. We've built something honest, and it's thanks to you.
I'm Ethan, their son. Every share, every dollar, every message, you're the reason we can keep calling out the BS and bringing color back to the world going gray.
If you want to help, we take PayPal, Venmo, or snail mail. You can send it to P.O. Box 2, Round Hill, Virginia 20142.
Can't donate? No problem. Just share the show with someone who needs to hear it.
Thanks for helping us stay loud, proud, and completely uncensored. You can donate at thedumbshow.com/donate.
You know what happens when you turn the dial harder? You can make a harder grimace. The harder you grimace, the more effective it is.
You tighten it so freaking I can't do it. I can't untighten it.
That's what she said.
That's what she's. Oof. Oof. Coming in with it. Pound it. Pound it. Pound.
Child
Good for you.
15.
Ethan, you look like a hippie.
Totally tubular.
You know this is recording, right?
Okay, let's go. Smile. Don't start with me. Donations. Every time you don't smile, I'm going to punch you in the ribs. Donations. Take one. Scene one. Ready. Set. Ethan.
Break.
Ready. Don't screw it up.
Okay.
Ethan, don't mess this up. Ready. Set. Action. No. Whoa. Director calls action, not some stupid toddler.
But we've built something.
There's no but there. Why do you've been doing this since you were 2 years old? Try it again.
Just share the show with someone who needs to hear it.
He's so much better than you at everything.
Better than
Hayden, he's just like, it's just. Go ahead, Hayden.
Thanks for helping us stay loud, proud, and completely uncensored.
That's a wrap. Well done, Spear family. I bet we make no money.
But I'm gonna owe them money without.
Hayden, do your thing again.
Oh yeah, cut it.
Baby shark doo 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 doo.
Just because someone makes a post that says they're number one doesn't make it true. Well, when you show the podcast standings, it does. So I can only go on those. And bots are a real thing, folks. I'm just telling you that. Government shutdown. Go ahead and touch this topic a little bit. There's supposedly no agreement in sight. And I will tell you that Democrats sent a letter the other day that essentially told Trump that it was his shutdown and his healthcare crisis, and that they're just waiting at any given Sunday to talk to Trump, and sent that letter. And my response was, F the Democrats. Don't listen to them. This just exemplifies the deep dysfunction in Washington. There is a very large disconnect between the way business is supposed to be ran in the civilian sector, in the private sector, and in the government sector. And government continues to drop the ball. They obviously need to control their spending. They need to reform how the federal budget operates. It's a cluster. All you're doing is kicking the can down the road. I think the taxpayer owes $270,000, something a person, some ridiculous number. Every American owes like $176,000, but the problem is not every American, when you take kids who can't work, the elderly who've already contributed, and the disabled, and the people who work part-time, you can't supplement that. Republicans have been pushing the funding bill. It is a CR, and Leeroy and I don't like that CR. We would love them to cut even more out of that. But Republicans just said, hey, you pass this in March. You've passed this 14 times with Joe Biden. And anyone that says that the Republicans are responsible for the lockdown, folks, okay, you can talk about compromise and all that other stuff. So here's my comment. They voted 15 times to keep it closed. Republicans voted to open it so they could talk about the insurance windfall. And Democrats said no. So who's responsible? So you know what I hear from Democrats? Well, wait a second. There's a healthcare crisis here and people's premiums are going up. So you're shutting it down. No, it's Republicans. No, wait. Let's go back to the beginning. Republicans have tried to open it 15 times. Yeah, but Republicans won't negotiate. No, stop. That's still your responsibility. You won't open it because of A, B, C, and D. That doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't change the fact that you refuse to open the government. You just want them to go ahead and add $1.9 trillion on a finger, and then you're holding them blackmail hostage. That means it's your shutdown. That's it. So here's the
you're
question.
not wrong.
Now that we've established this, buddy, now that we've established this, I'm gonna backpedal. You and I said, by all means necessary, don't remove the filibuster. Is that what we said?
Yes.
Remove it. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Let me tell you why. Can I tell you why?
Sure.
It's going to force three things to happen. You only need a 50+1 vote to change senatorial proceedings. So it doesn't need a 2/3 majority. It doesn't need 60 votes. 50+1, they've got that. They say they don't have it. Ted Cruz is saying, we don't have the votes. You've got the votes. That would mean all legislation that Democrat or Republicans propose would be 50+1. Donald Trump is going to be able to get so many things done, from voter ID to protections on the Second Amendment at the federal level, to sanctuary cities inside the states for gun owners to store their guns out of their town so they can be protected and not confiscated by the government. I can go on and 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 on. All legislation will be pushed through. The one windfall is what happens when Democrats take over power. That's why you do it now. Because they are going to make D.C. a state, Puerto Rico a state. They're going to pack the courts. We know what they're going to do. And if you remove the filibuster, there's only one option for Republicans to counteract them taking over in 2026. You and I both know what that is. Every single red state will have to redistrict. Prop 50 just passed. Virginia is removing the private third-party group that does redistricting. They're going to redistrict all of Virginia, bro. Democrats are not playing. They're playing for keeps. They're playing hardball. And the only way we can gain at least 10 seats, if not closer to 25, if every red state redistricts, it protects 2026, and they can put the filibuster back in place. And then it would require Democrats to remove it. But you do it and say, the problem is that do you do it to get this government back open with the CR? Then put it right back into place? Or do you remove it and leave it open? I want to get your thoughts.
I can see the argument on both sides.
Me too.
And I have heard Democrats in the past say at various points throughout, the last 20, 30 years that they wanted to get rid of the filibuster because at the time they were pitching it, it was when they it was being used against them, right? So whoever is in power, right, is going to, there's always going to be this ebb and flow of, should we get rid of it? Should we not get rid of it? And there's been so many sound bites cut between Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer over the years that on both sides that have said, oh, yes, we want to get rid of it. No. Now we need to keep it. No. Now we need to get rid of it. And I'm tired of that crap. I am still on the side of leave it there. And I know I get what you're saying. I understand that. But I think that this shutdown, more people are seeing this as the fault of the Democrats than and that's just my opinion, right?
No, I'm not. I'm sighing because you're right. But dude, if they get power,
I think we need to hang on to it.
If they take the House and the Senate, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to remove the filibuster and they're going to try to impeach Trump, and they're going to succeed this time. Then we lose it. Do you really think that they're not going to impeach Trump and remove the filibuster the moment they take office? If they take the House and they take the Senate, which, let's face it, the odds are that they're going to. I know it looks very good for Republicans right now, but I don't trust anything those Democrats do. And I don't trust Lois. Thank you so much. $21.10. So I am just very, very skeptical. I know Bernie Sanders has wanted to remove the filibuster. I know Jamie Raskin has wanted to remove it. I know Schumer has wanted to remove it. But here's the thing. They're not playing. You've got to redistrict. You've got to redistrict. If you don't, the only way we get to redistrict is that if you absolutely trade ponies. Paul Rivera donated $20. This conversation is so deep I had to put my floaties on. Thanks, Paul. Listen to me.
Thank you.
You want to get Georgia to play ball? Because Georgia has a lot of spineless and feckless people in it, although the Governor Kemp, I like him, but state legislatures are in the Senate are blue. You tell Donald Trump, we'll get this passed for you. You go trade ponies. You go give those senators in those blue states. CJ Jenkins donated $51.99. Hi, Matthew and Leeroy. Loving the show. Love you too. Thank you, Siege. You're going to have to trade ponies, and you're going to have to push some legislation through that you're not going to like. Who gives a shit? We need redistricting. And whatever it takes, you give those states whatever you can who are on the fence so we can take the House and lock it up. Because I'm telling you, if you think that Democrats are not going to redistrict every single fucking state, they will.
Oh, well, they already have.
No,
they're
not
tried
done.
to do that.
They're not done.
What I'm saying is that they've tried to do that throughout so many of the other states, and it's been pretty effective.
Yes.
Whereas the Republicans have been kind of weak on this subject, and they've allowed it to happen in other states when we should have been doing the exact same thing just as hard. Like Massachusetts that voted for 36% Trump and has no representation.
New Hampshire has no representation. Massachusetts has none. Connecticut has none. Rhode Island, we know. But they've already done it. There's like 13 different states that have zero representation of Republicans. I know. That is why you need to redistrict, but you do it legally based on political demographics like Texas did. Texas did it right. California might be challenged the constitutionality of the Proposition 50. I read the language, and it was not put on the ballot with what it actually is. They say it was a 5-year temporary change, and it made it sound like if they voted yes or no, all it was doing was limiting Republican power. That's not what it does. It redistricts and goes against what 90% of Californians voted for, which was a private third party for redistricting. So the language, they need to sue. They do what they always do on propositions in California. They dupe the voters. 90% of Californians believed in a private third party and a nonpartisan. Then they turned around and voted for it to disband it less than a year later. It's the language. And when you read it, it's not accurate. I read it last night. It's absolutely on the show. It's crazy. So here's what you do. Yes, Kayleigh McInerney's right. She said that you can remove the filibuster tomorrow, open up the government, and then put the filibuster back in place. But then that means it's a Republican shutdown. If you are right, why are you going ahead and removing senatorial rules? You know what the Democrats are going to say? They're subverting democracy. We told you they're fascists. We told you they were going to go ahead and stomp the Constitution. They're waiting for this. And if we remove it, you know what they're doing? Yes! Now we can impeach Trump. What's the score? Dude, just relax. So, in my thoughts, get rid of the filibuster. If you're going to take the hit on the lockdown, at least you have almost a full year until the midterms. You pass amazing legislation. You see recovery. You take away and remove regulations on small business. Energy prices still drop. You go ahead and you propose legislation in red areas. You revitalize education. You revitalize vouchers. You go ahead and open up tri-state healthcare. You go ahead and you remove the single-payer option bullshit. You limit Obamacare, and you replace it with Medicaid on a temporary basis to supplement Obamacare until the economy gets better, until you can get private medicine fighting for each other in TRICARE, whatever it takes. But you've got a year. And
Something else to consider.
If you don't remove this, they're going to ride this thing till January. You know that. The Democrats don't care about their constituents. They don't give a shit. They let 30,000 African Americans just murder each other. They don't give a crap. What do they care if their people starve? Since when have the Democrats ever cared about their constituents?
Something else to consider is, they're already starting to throw names out there for the next election. And one of the more prominent names on the left has been Kamala again.
Yep.
Whereas we have someone like a J.D. Vance, given between the two, obviously, I think that would go J.D. Now, here's the thing. If you did remove the filibuster and you follow through with things like gerrymandering within each state, and again, another consideration is the census. When the next census results come out, places like California, places like New York may not be quite as
That's
the
why
blue
you
holding
pass.
ground.
That's why you pass it. You pass the voter ID. You pass the reapplication
Right.
of the census. You schedule a census to be done right now. You do an emergency census like Texas did. You pass all that. That's why you do it. But it's risky. It's risky because you give Democrats permission to do whatever they want. But they used it, and Terry Reid used it in 2014.
Well,
Republicans already used it in 2017 when it came to Gorsuch. So we've already used it. The nuclear option has been used before. And the ramifications are that we might lose the House and the Senate anyway. You guarantee yourself the House at least and control the purse strings if you redistrict. You guarantee a win because you essentially remove those seats and they become Republican seats. And it's legal because it's based upon, that's the thing, Leeroy. That's the thing. It's not manipulating the Constitution. It's legal for states to redistrict based upon voting demographic. And that's what they would be doing. Democrats are using subclass. They're using economic standing. They're not even using party principles. They're using every other thing that the Constitution and the SCOTUS has said you can't do.
My point was that when you take into account like the factors like redistricting and gerrymandering, same thing, as well as the census and who's going to gain what in terms of votes and who's going to lose what in terms of votes. Right now, I think if you were to project forward, I'd say that you have a really good chance of, during the next election, Republicans taking it again. So by removing
they do.
Yeah. So by removing the filibuster now, I get what you're saying. I guess there's just a lot of considerations, and I'm just not sure that that's a good move.
But see, you're not going to get redistricting without. You're not going to get redistricting without it. And then Democrats with California, they take that we have 16 positions that are in red Trump heavy districts. Okay, 16 seats. We have 5 vulnerable seats. But if California goes ahead and picks up 5 seats and removes Republican representation, Leeroy, that is a home at home. You take 5 away and you add 5 to Democrats. That's 10 seats. That's essentially 10 seats. That is a massive swing. So what I'm saying is they're going to cheat their way to win in 2026. And if you don't redistrict, if you don't meet the status quo of what Democrats have decided to do, we're screwed. They're going to steal this thing. If you think they don't have a plan, they didn't have a plan for 2016. They didn't have Russian collusion was 2016. What did they have for 2020? COVID. What did they have for 2024? Lawfare. Indictments. What do they have for 2025? What did they have? What do they have for 2026? We know what they have for 2025 was a lockdown. They always have a plan. 2026 is going to be redistrict and steal it in 2026. We know this. How can you let them do it? We've got it's either be moral and be on the high ground and be Anakin, or lose it all and literally change the face of this country, because you know what they're going to do. Washington, D.C. will become a state. They're going to pick up 2 Senate seats that way. They're going to make Puerto Rico a state. They're going to pick up 2 Senate seats that way. They're going to pick up 11 different House seats because of that. They're going to remove the Supreme Court advantage that we've, out of 73 years of the last 100 Democrats have run. They're going to take away the SCOTUS, which is our last bastion for the Constitution. We will never be the same. We will never be the same, bro. At this point, it's kind of like, it's nice to have the spirits of the founding fathers with their hands on our shoulders. It's beautiful. It's cute. It's awesome. And I love our Constitution. But this is the fight for good and evil, man. And these people are going to literally try to destroy this country. You know that what they're going to do. They're going to remove all borders. They're going to open the borders back up. We saw them do it with crack cocaine in the Clinton era, and we saw what they did with these inner cities. They're going to do the same thing with fentanyl. They're going to poison the people off. They're going to allow lawlessness, progressivism, put in progressive DAs. Mondani wants to release the prison systems. He wants to go to counselors instead of cops. Bro, this is socialism. This is what happened in Russia. This is what happened in Venezuela. This is what happened in Vietnam. This is what happened to Laos. This was the entire thing of Indochina. This was North Korea. We've seen this before. We know what's going to happen. We're not playing games. It's not like we're cures or nuts. No. This is history, folks. This has happened before. No.
And that's the thing. Like science, for the people who do understand this, science is the practice of getting repeatable results. And in this case, we have history to refer back to understand what that pattern looks like.
Right.
And in the case of socialism, there's never been a socialist country that has ever dug its way out of the shitter and into what we would call prosperity. Just never happened. And it has always ended with people losing individual rights. It has always ended with people resorting to eating their own trash or selling out their neighbor, and eventually you go far enough down the road, turns into absolute authoritarianism. So,
listen, it's not hyperbole. This isn't a bunch of middle-aged white guys just overreacting. This is the long game. I just walked you through the last 10 years. Would you like me to go back to the Reagan administration and what they did to Mexican federal judges? Do you want to know what they did to Clarence Thomas?
Oh,
would you like me to walk through the check writing scandal, the Iran-Contra hearings? Would you like me to savings and loan scandal? Do you want to go with the lending practices, the dot-com bubble? We can go back if you want to talk about what Democrats have created. This is it. You know, people say this is the most important election of our lifetime. No, it's not. It's not the election. It's the results of the election and what they're going to do. You can have blue representation. You can have Democrats and Republicans. But if you don't have equal representation, that is the definition of totalitarianism and authoritarianism. It is literally replacing the people's choice and the people's options. That's why you have a two-party system, even if it's in the minority, just because there's always opposition to the individual rights. The majority is always going to try to steal the individual rights, but our government is designed that the singularity is always the most important basis of our government. People say, well, why should I vote for Republicans? They can't win. Because you have to be represented. That's why. And if all the Republicans bother the hell out of you, they stop Democrats from doing things they shouldn't. And even though Democrats bother you, it stops Republicans from doing things they shouldn't. Because the Democrats aren't so star-spangled awesome that everything they do is perfect. Patriot Act, hello. One of the worst pieces of legislation ever since Jim Crow.
The whole idea behind our system. And my only argument to that, and fortunately, I feel confident enough to say that the Constitution, I think I had Ben Shapiro say this once, that the Constitution is a damn durable document. And he's not wrong. It takes so much to alter it, to change it, that so long as that is in place, and I want everyone to understand this, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights gives you individual rights. We just got done talking about religion on this show and how you have to have that relationship with God as an individual. Well, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that's what that does in effect. It makes you an individual, something that the state can never override. That's the point of it. You have the right to free speech. You have the right to defend yourself. And so long as those items are there, then the avenue for individualism will always exist. And no matter how much socialism or fascism or communism people like to point to and say, this is a problem within our country, right? The counterbalance to that is the Bill of Rights. We just need to make sure that we defend it tooth and nail.
How do you defend it when they take the guns
Well,
away?
it's already been
I know not 9 out of 10 of the Bill of Rights have been altered, and go look at which party altered all of them.
No.
Listen, I understand what people are saying. Term limits. Okay, term limits are important. But if we can't vote, when you are literally voting against the 3 people on the ticket are Democratic Socialists, Democratic Green Party, and Democratic Liberalism, and those are your choices, what are you going to do? Do you understand where I live? I'm in Virginia. I have absolutely no more representation at any level of government. Everything is blue. And they are going to redistrict it so everything stays blue. Where I have my home, my castle, every dollar I own is invested into this house. It's invested into this state, this town. And every single piece of representation that I have is gone. That should scare the living shit out of you. Gerrymandering is not legal. Redistricting is different. The reason why you redistrict, because can you imagine if 4 counties are all tied to Baltimore? And you literally go the north side, the south side, the west side, the east side, and you draw these maps based upon geographical mileage,
right?
Democrats will always come out ahead. If you make them all the same size, you are literally going to put millions in one quadrant, and you can't do that based upon representation because it's a certain amount of people for each elected representative in the House. It's based on population. So you draw them based upon those numbers and you create districts. But what happens when you have a district which is represented by more red, but you have a tiny little sliver of blue in a giant city, and there's literally 1 million people living in that and 700,000 around the rest of the district. Those people in blue in that tiny little area decide for the entire. That's why you redistrict. You redistrict based upon the overall representation on the size of your district to the political party that is predominant. And if you have 87% representation of Republicans, you are allowed to draw the lines to make sure that takes place. It is a legal form of government, and you do that because of the sparsity of how far we're laid out. We're not Europe, we're not Canada, we're not densely populated. Well, Canada's not truly densely populated either. But you get my point.
I do.
Shit. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Listen, I want to say this about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I know what she's doing. And we might as well call her Marjorie Taylor Cheney. And
you think she's going to run?
She says she's going to run for president, but that would be the absolute most fast and burnout campaign ever in history because Democrats hate her and now Republicans are hating her. I posted a picture today just to kind of see and check the pulse, and I posted a video of Marjorie Taylor Greene just to see where people are at. I would say 90% of the people absolutely despise her right now. So what I've been saying for the last 3 years, brother, I'm glad people finally caught up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she is she's in a world of hurt, and that's no joke. She's completely just see the Marjorie Taylor Cheney. I put that up on Facebook and I said Marjorie Taylor Cheney for 2028, and I've got some people who unfollowed me because of it. Like you're, and I'm like, listen,
Just have some fun, please.
yeah. They
where's
won't,
your sense of humor, folks?
They don't have one. I posted a video of her too that probably was a little excessive, was a little AI driven. I'm going to show you that right now. And it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny, dude. It says Marjorie Taylor Greene gets honest on The View. This ticked a lot of people off. This is AI. I'm out of here. This site's fake. It's like, oh my God, people. How do you know it's not AI? Here it is.
We've been saying you're retarded for many, many years now. You know, with all the Jewish space lasers and all that shit. But what changed, Marjorie? What made you realize you were retarded and finally become a Democrat like the rest of us retards?
Well, to be honest, I guess one day I just woke up, you know, like I literally woke up and I was like, well, Republicans don't want me anymore because I'm a treasonous piece of shit. So what are my other options? You know, what am I really good at? And I realized I'm actually quite good at being a retard. So I decided then and there that I was going to come on The View with the rest of you retards and finally become a Democrat retard just like you.
Drop it hard.
Good Lord.
I mean, dude, it's genius. What's wrong with people?
That's a kick in the box, right? Jeez.
It's fantastic.
I love it.
She's toast, and she's not going to win her district. She said Donald Trump was protecting pedophiles. Folks, it's 265.88 is where we're at, I think is what it is. We are literally about $35 away. We would love to hit that. We got 24 seconds. So if you haven't had a chance, please do. The Broncos game's on. I want to go watch it with my son because we've been kind of doing a routine of watching the Broncos. Here is Marjorie Taylor Greene. One more video. And then I'm just going to open it up for you because we know what she's doing. She's going to take the Thomas Massie and Rand Paul route. By the way, Rand Paul voted against removing pay of politicians during the lockdown. Rand Paul, Mr. Libertarian himself, Mr. I'm for the people. You guys got conned by Rand Paul and Thomas Massie. They're voting against not getting paid. These are the type of people. They're scumbags. And I'm just done. You know, Rush Limbaugh would call these people out. I'm going to do the same. Not that Rush Limbaugh was perfect, but you know what? You got to call people out when they do this type of crap. And yes, they're in my party. I spend 360 days a year ripping on Democrats. But you know what? Once in a while, you need to go ahead and clean your own house. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is pathetic. She is literally running. She's going to run as a libertarian. And all because Donald Trump said he would not endorse her if she ran for senator in Georgia. All of Donald Trump, because he wouldn't endorse her for senator because she would get mopped the floor with. Nobody is going to put her. She wants to run for president. She's not going to play spoiler. I promise you she'll get less than 0.2% of the vote in her home state in the primary. There's no way. She's a Kamala Harris 2.0. Here's the video. Listen to this.
I will praise Nancy Pelosi. She had an incredible career for her party. I served under her speakership in my first term of Congress, and I'm very impressed at her ability to get things done. I wish we could get things done for our party like Nancy Pelosi was able to deliver for her party. So I wish her well in her retirement, but I would like to see people exit Washington a lot sooner rather than wait until their 80s. Yeah, I will praise Nancy Pelosi.
86.
You've got to be shitting me. Donald Trump says she's evil and he's glad she's gone. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is on CNN. Let's see. She's been on Bill Maher. She's been on CNN. She went on the Young Turks and The View. And oh no, she's just MAGA. This woman is literally setting it up to run as an independent or lose her position and go and be a weekend talk show host like Trey Gowdy and Jason Chaffetz. She's literally setting up a career working for a media company. That's what she doesn't have any other options. She's not going to be in government. Her district is going to punt her. She's not going to be a senator. Run for president. Are you kidding me? You couldn't even run the PTA, lady.
No.
What would you do? Sleep your way and make other people make the cookies like you did at your gym? I don't think there's enough dick in the parking lot for you to go ahead and suck. Okay, that was wrong. I'm sorry, Pastor Jack, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leeroy.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I've seen this coming for a long time. She is an opportunist. When she saw that the Trump and the MAGA movement had some momentum, she immediately jumped on board and tried to throw her face and her name at the forefront of it to ride some coattails and get some face recognition. Now that has kind of faltered to some degree, mostly due to her own making, right? Now she's hitting up several different podcasts to try to stay relevant, right? And by throwing her face on as many podcasts as she can to do exactly what Matt is talking about, to try and set up another company, to try and maybe run as an independent. She's hoping that momentum from MAGA will gain her some face recognition, and she'll be able to pull some of those followers from MAGA, from the people who were like, oh my God, I love Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Because she loved Trump. It's not going to work. It's not going to work, and you're going to fail miserably.
Jewish space lasers. Says Donald Trump's protecting pedos. You backed up Thomas Massey and Rand Paul. You're a freaking loser. You made your bed, lady. Sleep in it. And I've been calling out your bullshit for 5 years. 5 years. I've been sitting here and do you know how good it feels to sit here and go, where are all the people who wanted her to be VP? Where are all the people who went after me during J6? What happened to all the people who told me she was MAGA through and through? She's not MAGA. She's a scumbag. This is a day where I hit Republicans. I'm sorry. I'm going after everybody. Megyn Kelly's next. Megyn Kelly is my sweetheart. Thank you, Debbie Boggs. Don't stop praying. No, ma'am. And I'm sorry I said that about MTG in the parking lot. I had a moment of weakness. But Megyn Kelly is my second wife. I love this lady, but I got to call her out. She has been an absolute coward to call out Tucker Carlson. She's been a coward to call out Candace Owens. You don't have to censor their speech and cancel them to say what they're saying. I don't agree with. They have a right to say it, but I don't like their anti-Semitism. I don't like their comments. I don't like what Candace Owens. You know what her excuse was? Tucker Carlson's my friend. Well, Candace Owens isn't your friend. You openly said you don't even know who she is. You hardly have ever talked to her, yet you're defending her too. So here's Tucker and Megyn. Megyn, I love you. I love you. I want to be on your show, but I'm disappointed in you. And Tucker, I completely agree with. Everything that Tucker says here, I completely agree with. This is the most honest I've seen him in a long time. Here it is. Megyn, I love your shoes. I love them. Jeffrey Stiles, $5 through Super Chat. God bless. Thank you, Jeff. Here's the video.
Nick Fuentes has said a long list of very vile things.
Big time, including attacking my dad, which was the most vile of all, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I personally have watched videos of him questioning the Holocaust, likening it to baking cookies in the oven, and there's no way you could have gotten to 6 million, seems to be his theory. He seems to think that we've way overstated the number of Jews killed in the Holocaust. He's ripped on poor Usha Vance in the most offensive terms, which I mean, so what do you say to those people who say, why didn't you raise any of that?
You know, do your own.
You see, Tucker, you're saying too many bad things and making me look bad. That bothers me. If you platform somebody, you know, I get it, but his body language here, it's like, okay, you know, you can stop saying all these things. I know all these things. Well, maybe you need to listen to her. But here's the thing. It's not Megyn Kelly. She cowered her way out. She says people are saying these things. Megyn, why don't you say these things? This is your interview. Why don't you take some responsibility and say, Tucker, you're my friend. I love you. We talked about this behind the curtain, and I said I'm going to ask you this question. You said it was okay. But man, I'm awful disappointed with what you're doing here. I don't like Nick Fuentes. I don't like the things he says. And I understand that you think everyone should have a platform, but I just disagree with it. You're my friend. And honestly, I've defended you. But right now I'm going to say, why would you give that scum-sucking douche plow? Why would you give him airtime? And Tucker, even though I agree with what he says, he's lying his ass off, because this guy has mentioned Jews 864 times in 6 months. 864. He is platforming anybody that hates Jews. So this has nothing to do with free speech. This has to do with him railing against the Jewish people, because he's Tucker Carlson. Here's the rest.
You know, do your own interview the way that you want to do it. You're not my editor. Buzz off. I mean, I don't know. You want to go yell at Nick Fuentes? I'll give you his cell. Call him and go sit and yell at him and feel virtuous or whatever. That's up to you. I got the same thing with Putin. Why aren't you yelling at him? Okay, why? So I can show that I'm a good person? I care about what my wife thinks, my children think, and God thinks, and that's it. I don't need to prove that I'm a good person to you. You may think I'm a terrible person. Okay, I'm just doing my thing, which is I want to understand what people think, and I'm committed to that. And if you don't like it, don't watch. That's my view.
That's disingenuous.
Yeah, I want to know what people think about Jews. That's what he wants, because it's making him money.
Right. He's definitely serving to a crowd. There is a portion of his base that is absolutely falling for that and is like, oh my God, the Jews do run all of Hollywood, or the Jews do this, or don't do this. The fact that he has to play to that is enough of an indication that he is extremely biased. And I found his response right there to be disingenuous. And I've never really loved Tucker Carlson. I have liked some of the things that he has said occasionally, but there's always been something that has been self-serving and a little bit, how can I put this? A little bit fake about him.
Yeah, prosthetic. Yeah. Oh yeah, even his laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, this whole show, a lot of this went after Republicans. Folks, I'm done apologizing for it. You trusted me through the 2019 and 20 COVID epidemic. You trusted me during J6. You trust me through the Q years when I told you it was a bunch of bullshit, all of it. You trusted me through Marjorie Taylor Greene, through Candace Owens, through Tucker Carlson. You trusted me during the elections. By the way, did anyone see our election results on our predictions? We were 100%. Again. We tell you the truth. We were right about the Baltimore Bridge. Remember when people were telling you, even Laura Logan, who I love and adore, and she's the sweetie, she was wrong.
Yeah.
We told you about the Nashville bombing. We went over the pipe bomber. We told you about the person's height. Well, information's coming out about the pipe bomber that they have her identity, and it's a woman. And she works in a 3-letter agency. And this is supposed to be huge. Let's see if it comes out and it's true. But we've covered so many different things for you. We've done analysis on Ukraine. I told you Ukraine would be able to stand pat indefinitely. They did. I told you the Jews, you're going to find out one thing. They're going to literally blow up Gaza to kingdom come, and you're going to find out how much people hate the Jews because the masks are going to come off. What's happened? Everything I've told you. I don't lie to you. Leeroy and I, Amy, Olivia, we make analysis. We use geopolitical analysis. We use our training to come up with this stuff. And none of these people are talking about this stuff. Why? Why aren't they talking about the government? Why aren't they talking about what socialism is doing to this country? Why aren't they talking about the Muslim takeover in Europe? Why aren't they warning you about the famine with wheat and potash like Leeroy did? We've given you these things. We should have 100,000 people watching. Based upon our results.
The more left you go on the political scale, like it's easier for me to look at that holistically and say, well, your entire philosophy is messed up, right? But we do it all here. We will look for the problems in everyone's thought process on both the left and the right. Now, on the left, it's far easier, because they're more or less, they're wrong right out of the gate 9 times out of 10. Their entire philosophy is based on mostly lies. When we start trying to analyze people within our own, people who self-claim to be right-leaning, Republicans or libertarians, whatever the case is, right? It's far harder, it's more difficult to look at them and say, well, your entire philosophy is wrong. No, now we're talking about what you said here was wrong, or the thing that you did here was wrong. More or less, they have the correct philosophy, but their execution 9 times out of 10 is where we have fault. And in Tucker Carlson's case, sure, he may be a conservative. I don't know. Chuck Pedersen.
Peterson.
Is it Pedersen? Yeah, Peterson.
He donated
It's
to
a
the
D
studio.
there.
It's Peterson.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The hard truth is always hard to hear. That's all I got. I'm sorry.
Well, that's because you struggle with a name for 5 minutes. It's fine.
He got a D in his name
Dude,
instead of a T.
he's one of our biggest followers. He's a $10,000 donator. I mean, it's the Chuck Peterson. It's the Chuck Peterson studio, man. It's okay.
Chuck, you're awesome. But I saw
awesome.
$55. Is that right?
I don't know. I'm going to go find out. I'm trying to find it.
I think
Liv,
that's what it was.
what did I'm reading it? Livy, what did Chuck say? She's going to text it to me. Okay. Did we get another one? No. All right. We're going to text it. I'm just teasing you, by the way. I'm just busting balls.
I know.
It's not that I disagree with Tucker Carlson. The hard truth is always hard to hear, but in this case, Matt is right. Blow it up in order to save it. Yeah. Listen, it's not that it's not that Candace Owens, everything she says, I disagree with. It's not that Tucker Carlson, everything he says, I disagree with. It's not that Bill Maher, everything he says. I'm consistent. I'm not attacking them. I'm holding them accountable for what they're saying.
That's it right there. That's exactly the correct thing to say. You're holding people accountable for what they're saying.
I did the same stuff, guys, with a Tea Party with Republicans. I completely held them accountable for saying Sharia law. Sharia law is still not coming to the United States. These women just elected a socialist Muslim extremist after wearing Stepford Wives outfits. These people are nuts.
Is it The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah, Handmaid's Tale. Right? Whatever.
Yeah,
Stepford Wives, Handmaid's Tale. Same thing.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
It's all psychosis. I'm surprised they don't put the red letter A. The hippies did the red letter A. Now we've moved forward to this. It's like, oh, come on. I mean, come on. Seriously, find a new book. Find a new playbook. Here's Donald Trump.
And every one of those steps to the left, they have to claim some new identity of victimhood. Every time
right.
That's the exact point.
This is what you say to these dumb broads. I'm sorry, Pastor Jack. It's simple. Please name one right that men have that you don't. Just one. Abortion. Abortion's not a right.
Never was.
I can tell you one. How about the selective service? That's something that you don't have to do that I have to do, and they're telling me what to do with my body. So it's my body, my choice, but only when you have a vertical smile. Is that really what it is? I've got to pee sitting down in order to do that. I got to basically pee like Harry Sasson does. Got it.
Follow that thought process through too, because if women can be men and men can be women, then by the time anybody turns 18 and they're supposed to go and sign up for selective service, the government, we have classes in various government organizations that say, oh, well, check everyone's pronouns. Men can be women, women can be men. Well, if that's the case, make sure you follow through with that. Don't pussyfoot around it and make sure that everyone, not just men, sign up at 18 for the selective service. Do that.
Or if it's the case that I can identify as I want, well, then I'm 65 and I'm too old to enter military service. Sorry. I'm 65. I identify as a palm tree. I love it when you drink. We're going to end on this. Listen, tonight. Oh, I thought you were drinking beer or something.
No, this is the terrible thing. This is a Olipop, which has like prebiotics, which means that in 20 minutes I'm going to shit my brains out.
So whatever. Basically, what it means, I like you more when you're not sober. And thank God it's not that often. Greatest line in the movie, the pit. The Money Pit with Shelley Long and Tom Hanks. And she goes, I like you so much better when I'm not sober. And he goes, thank goodness it's not that often. And she's like, all right, you son of a...
I do remember that.
Donald Trump talked to Brett Baer, responded about Mandani. And listen, folks, we're going to hit conservatives sometimes, but we're done with this. We're done with this bullshit that I can't say things about my party. Yes, I can. And they're acting like a bunch of children We need to unite. We need to educate on what's going on with the left and leave the right alone. Everyone needs to stop the stupid infighting. I am so sick of Ian Carroll and Dave Smith and all these putzes and Tate brothers. Oh, God, just all of them. Shut up. You are a bunch of frickin' soy boy insoles. You wouldn't know what an alpha male is if it sat on your face. Every single one of these yutzes should serve in the military and get their ass kicked by a drill instructor. You guys aren't men. You're a bunch of frickin' basement dorks who become relevant based upon shitty opinions. Sick of it. You know what? If I wanted to go ahead and sell out, all I would have been doing is peddling crap about COVID and vaccines and tell you the government's trying to kill you and talk about J6 and the election was stolen and talk about all of this bull. Jews are the devil and they're satanic. And you know what? We would have millions of views because I know it doesn't take a lot of brain because look at the Hodge twins.
Right.
All we would do is wear blackface and sit up here and, yeah, oh, yeah. That's all we would do. Jews are evil. Yeah. That's all we do. Effing Jews are taking my money. No, man, they're taking your money. Oh, shit, mofo.
Right.
That's all we would do, and we'd have millions of followers. We give away trucks every week.
Right, I was just going to say, we auction off a truck at the end of every month.
Was that racist? That's probably racist. All right, here we go. Give away a truck every week. Here's Brett Baer and Donald Trump talking about Mondani and his veiled threats. Here it is.
I want to touch about New York City real quick. You're a New Yorker. You famously kind of had a fight with Ed Koch back in the 70s and 80s as he was a mayor. He obviously wasn't a democratic socialist, as you call the mayor-elect Zoran Mondani a communist. But is there any part of you that looks at Mondani and says, it is good for you politically to have a big foil there that you're going to talk about for the next 3 years?
You know, I'm so torn because I would like to see the new mayor do well because I love New York. I really love New York. When I left New York for Washington, New York was doing really well, but there were some bad signs. The bad sign was a guy named de Blasio. So the signs of de Blasio, that was the beginning, and it was bad. This one, we're going to look. For 1,000 years, communism has not worked. Communism or the concept of communism has not worked. I tend to doubt it's going to work this time.
Did you see his victory speech?
No, it's literally never worked. Yeah, I thought it was a very angry speech, certainly angry toward me, and I think he should be very nice to me. You know, I'm the one that sort of has to approve a lot of things coming to him, so he's off to a bad start.
At one point he says, turn the volume up.
So hear me, President Trump, when I say this. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us.
I can't stand the fact that that guy is standing with the New York skyline with the Freedom Tower there, and he has the balls to put the New York skyline as a Muslim extremist. I'm sorry, that just is one thing that really freaking bothers me, dude.
You respond to that. Does that affect anything you're going to do?
It's a very dangerous statement for him to make, actually. And, you know, you talk about danger. I think it's a very dangerous statement for him to make. He has to be a little bit respectful of Washington, because if he's not, he doesn't have a chance of succeeding. And I want to make him succeed. I want to make the city succeed. I don't want to make him succeed. I want to make the city succeed, and we'll see what happens.
Did you see reaching out to him?
I would say he should reach out to us, really. I think he should reach out. Right. I'm here. We'll see what happens, but I would think that it would be more appropriate for him to reach out to us.
So speaking of reaching out, is there a deal that can be made to end this government?
All right, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to give it to Leeroy, and he's taking us home. I'm warning everybody right now that Mom Donnie he has too much character, too much charisma. He's got a handsome smile, and that's why 84% of women voted for him. He's dangerous. He's just as dangerous as Gavin Newsom. He's just as dangerous as Barack Obama because he can sell his shit and make it sound like a glazed donut. He's a salesman. He's a pimp. Do not underestimate him, just like I told you not to underestimate AOC. I warned you that AOC would take Nancy Pelosi out. I told you that 3 years ago. Everyone laughed, and I said AOC is going to replace Nancy Pelosi, probably as Speaker, she wants Senate and she wants to be the majority leader, but she will take Speaker of the House as well. And guess what? Mamdani's in. The squad is expanded. Ayanna Pressley, Rashid Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Duckworth, Hassani, all of them. They're expanding. Sanders, Warren. Socialists are absolutely in the henhouse. And when this guy fails, and he will fail, they're going to blame it it's Islamophobic. Islamophobia is reason. They hate him because he's from Islam, and they're going to make excuses for his failure. And he will leverage that. He will blame Republicans. He will drive New York into the ground, and then he will run and be considered for the presidency. You want to know why? I've got 2 words for you. And if this doesn't strike terror in your soul, Gavin Newsom ruined California even more than it already was, and they're going to put him on the fucking ticket. He'll be Kamala's running mate. She can't get California. She can't do anything. I'm warning you right now, this guy is the face of the Democratic Party. This is the guy that will literally be the face, and this guy is going to recruit. There's a reason why they ran a socialist in Oregon, they ran a socialist in Minnesota, and they ran a socialist in New York, all at the top line of our country. They got one on both coasts and in the middle. They want to normalize socialism. And they're doing it in the areas that are predominantly supportive of those policies. This is a cooperative effort to normalize socialists in American politics. I'm warning you right now. This is the beginning. Go ahead, buddy.
I think, well, first of all, I'm going to say you're absolutely correct. Mamdani's charm is absolutely deadly.
Yeah.
The fact that he speaks like Obama.
Yeah.
He has a certain charisma about him.
Yeah.
The problem that we can, from this show's point, and we just got done talking about this, the further right you lean, the more it's easier for me to pick up on somebody's, like if they say something wrong here or that kind of thing. You can get really into the details, but further left, and it's far easier to examine their policies, their basic philosophy, and see the fault, see where they're going to fail. In Mamdani's case, okay, he has said it. On camera, he has said that he is against capitalism. Well, guess what? There's 187,000 small businesses in New York. He is going to wage war on all of those businesses. 99% of all businesses in the United States are small business. And this guy doesn't want that. Right? So you get rid of all the small businesses. He's already said he wants to increase the corporate tax rate to something obscene.
Right.
Right. They're gonna up and leave the area. He is going to tank New York. And then he's gonna have to rely on that charm and wit and that smile to sell New Yorkers and the rest of America on the idea of that, well, that wasn't my fault and real socialism has never been tried. I tried.
Yeah, and he can't run for president. That's not my point. I said if I said that, I'm tired. He is the face of the Democratic Party. Gavin Newsom will either run or put a BVP on Kamala's ticket.
Right.
But Mamdani is the face of this party, and he can do damage. I'm telling you right now, there is a reason why New York is socialist. Thank you. Why California is going socialist is because these are the 2 biggest economies. And when you control the money, you control the country. That's just the truth. New York and California are 2 of the richest, top 5 in the world. That should scare everybody. And I want you to look at what that will do to our country if both of those states collapse and bankrupt.
Right.
Moving on. He can't run for vice president either, but he can run for everything else. And he probably has Senate aspirations. I told you about AOC. You know what everyone said? I don't find her pretty. Michelle, I love you. I'm just saying, he said, I don't find him attractive. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what I think.
That's one person.
It's the collective finds Mondami appealing because 84% of the opposite sex voted for him. Men didn't. So although you don't find him attractive, people find him attractive. He's got charm. He's got charisma. Listen, I watched this guy's campaign. He was the only one talking about food. He was the only one talking about cola. He was the only one talking about rent. He was the only one talking about the people. He literally stole Obama's playbook for the Great Hope campaign, and he just did it in New York, and he won. It was a genius campaign. That's the problem. All right, we got to go because we're getting all the crazy ass spammers are in here. All right. Yeah. And Tina says Gavin Newsom's oily. It doesn't matter. Look at the voting demographic for him. 63% of the women voted for him. You guys are women, but you're ladies. These are little girls who are 40. And they all look at what their sports team, they rate it based on the colors of the team. They're onion level thinkers. Once you peel back the layer, it stinks and it makes you cry. That's the truth. Leeroy, wrap us up, man. Take us home.
I am going to read a Ayn Rand quote that says, "There is no difference between communism and socialism except in the same ultimate end. Communism proposes to enslave men by force, socialism by vote. It is merely a difference between murder and suicide." Great show tonight. We have fun. We try to have fun on Tuesdays, Thursday. I loved coming on and bantering back and forth with Matt. We don't agree 100% of the time, but holistically, like I said, we can find areas where we can come together a little bit more, but then it's not as fun of a show, right? Like we need to be able to air these kinds of things out. Overall, it was fun, and I think we really examined what's going to happen in New York over the next administration. I think New York is not going to be a place that you're going to want to visit anytime soon.
No.
And beyond that, thank you to everyone who donated. You guys are amazing. We hit $355.88. That is amazing. Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, Mom Donnie came here when he was 7 years old, but you have to be a natural-born citizen. You can't be a naturalized citizen. It's not.
Yeah,
that doesn't work. So I think he came here as far as what year. Well, if he's 7 years old, I don't know. I can't do the math. I don't even know.
It must have been in the 90s, right?
Maybe 88 or something. 80,
Yeah.
or 98 or 99, somewhere like that. If he was 7. So yeah, I think 98 or 99, but it doesn't matter. He's unnaturalized citizen. He came here from Uganda. I'm not going to block anybody. I'm too tired. All right, everybody, we're out of here. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Leeroy, thanks. I didn't think we disagreed with much on tonight, but I guess that was important.
I was talking about like the filibuster, that kind of thing.
Do we not disagree? Do we disagree on the filibuster or not?
Yeah, no, I think we disagree. That's okay.
We're going to find out what's going to happen. I mean, we got to do something. I'll tell you what. We got to redistrict. We'll see. All right, man. Talk to you guys later. See you tomorrow. Hey, real quick. Friday night, it's $25 donation for your jacket, and we're also adding the Sherpa blanket. You can pick one or the other. So if you want the Don't Unfriend Me, the Dumb Nation jacket or the Sherpa blanket, you can pick one. It's $25 donation, gets you in the contest. We will draw on Monday night, just like we did last month. So everyone be here tomorrow night for Red Friday. Let's have a huge night. We're going to do the Dumb Nation jacket and the Sherpa blanket. Talk to you guys later. God bless. Thank you for everything.
Peace out, homies.
See ya.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.